All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tackling one of the biggest puzzles in tech right now: how to build AI agents that actually succeed out in the real world. Everybody's talking about them, but as you might know, getting them from a cool demo to a tool people actually rely on, well, that's the hard part. We're going to break down the secret recipe for success, and this comes straight from the folks who are building the very tools that power these agents. So let's start with the vision, because it's a big one. Picture a future where your company is just humming with these specialized AI agents, each one an expert at a specific task. And your role? You're not just doing the work anymore. You're more like a manager, a supervisor, coordinating this whole digital workforce. It's a pretty powerful idea, right? And that right there brings us to the core problem. The reality is, for every agent success story we hear about, there are probably dozens, maybe hundreds, that just fail. They look amazing in a demo, but they completely fall apart in production. So, what's the difference? What separates the agents that actually get adopted from the ones that get left behind?
Well, it turns out there's a surprisingly simple but really powerful recipe. A way to think about it from first principles that can guide you to build agents that people will not only use, but will actually love.
Okay, this is it. This is the core formula for whether an agent gets adopted or not. For an agent to really work, its potential payoff have to be bigger than its total cost. Let's look at that left side. You take the value it provides when it's right, you multiply that by the chance it'll actually succeed, and then, and this is the part people forget, you have to subtract the cost of what happens if it messes up. That final number, that net expected value, has to be greater than the simple cost to run the thing. Our entire job as builders is to tilt every part of this equation in our favor. So let's break down how to do that.
Our first ingredient is all about maximizing value. The goal here is to make an agent's successful moments so incredibly valuable that users are just more willing to forgive its occasional mistakes. You want to make the wins so big that the misses don't sting as much.
And you've got two main paths to get there. First, you can just go where the money is. Target industries where the work is inherently high value. Think about legal research or deep financial analysis. People already pay a fortune for that. The other path, which is maybe even more interesting, is to change the task itself. You move away from giving quick, simple answers, and you lean into more substantial, long-running, deep work. And this really highlights a huge shift in thinking. We're moving from what you could call a co-pilot model, quick assists here and there, to an autonomous worker model. In this new world, an agent can work for hours, maybe even days in the background to complete a really major task. And that fundamentally increases the value it can provide. Okay, next up, engineering for reliability. Because having a high-value agent doesn't matter one bit if it's completely unpredictable. To have any shot at success, we have to crank up that probability of success. This is the central tension, the real tug of war in agent design. On one side, you have pure agents. They're driven by a language model, so they're super flexible, but they're unpredictable. On the other side, you have pure workflows, driven by code. They're totally predictable, but they're rigid. And in the enterprise, in any serious setting, people crave predictability. You need to know that if step A happens, step B will follow every single time. So the solution here isn't to pick one or the other. It's not an either-or choice. The absolute best systems, the ones that are winning, they blend the two. They use deterministic workflows to guarantee reliability, and then they inject that agentic intelligence for flexibility where it's needed. It's a spectrum, and finding that perfect balance is the key. But look, it's not just about making the agent technically better. You also have to manage the human side of risk. Your stakeholders, your users, they're going to be nervous about this new black box technology. So you have to pull back the curtain by giving them deep observability, letting them see every single step an agent takes, and by showing them clear data on where it works and where it fails, you demystify the whole process. You reduce their fear of the unknown. Now for the final ingredient in our recipe, managing the cost when things go wrong. Because let's be honest, they will go wrong sometimes. People have this really outsized fear of what might happen if an agent goes rogue, so we need some smart ways to address that head-on. A really powerful tactic here is reversibility. It's simple.
If an agent's action can be easily and completely undone, the cost of it making a mistake just plummets. This is a huge reason why coding agents are taking off so fast. An agent makes a bad code change? So what? Just revert the commit. No harm, no foul. The risk is totally contained. And here is the ultimate safety net, putting a human in the loop at the most critical moment. The agent doesn't just merge code directly into the main branch. No way. It opens a pull request, and then a human developer gets the final say. This one simple UX trick completely, fundamentally, changes the entire risk calculation. So when we combine all these ingredients, we're talking high value, high reliability, and low cost. What does this all unlock? Well, it enables a move beyond simple chat interfaces and into the future of agent evolution, from just chat to ambient. You can see a really clear evolution happening. We started with synchronous chat agents. You ask, it answers. Right now, we're in this middle phase of what you could call sync to async agents, where a human kicks off a long, complex task. But the future, where this is all heading, is ambient agents. And these are triggered not by a person, but by an event, like a new email arriving or a new ticket being filed, which allows for massive scale and complexity. Now, it's super important to understand this point. Ambient does not mean fully autonomous. When people hear the word autonomous, they immediately think of high risk and no control. But ambient agents don't have to be completely hands-off, not at all. Even in this ambient future, the human is still the manager. You're still in the driver's seat. You can design all these sophisticated ways to interact, approving or rejecting key actions, jumping in to edit a faulty tool call if the agent gets it wrong, or even answering the agent's questions when it gets stuck. You can even time travel back to a previous step to correct a mistake and let the agent pick up from there. And all of this leads to a new, really powerful mental model for this world. Think of the agent as the creator of the first draft. It does the heavy lifting, it writes the code, it drops the legal brief, it builds the report. But a human is always there to refine it, to approve it, and to make that final call. It's the perfect blend of machine scale and human judgment. And this reframes our entire relationship with this technology. It's not really about replacing us. It's about elevating us. And it leaves us with a really provocative question to think about. If the AI is busy generating all the first drafts of the world's work, what new, higher value role will you step into? That's the future we're all building together.